I watched Zelios walk out of the mess hall feeling confident that he will do well in his new role within Umbra. I sat back at the table eating the rest of my dinner as I scrolled through my own orders on my device. There was a briefing for every single captain of the Raven Division in an hour. It would be faster to give out the details of the mission directly to our COTAD. But being in person to go over plans is always nice. It gives a sense of reassurance to hear the mission briefing from your superior in person. "Feeling nervous for Commander Xelios, Captain," Kyle said with his oh-so-signature annoying smile. "Not at all, Lieutenant. I feel that he will do well on his first mission, and the soldiers under him are picked from his old retinue. He will be fine, but I do feel that the mission will be tough this time," I said back, not caring that Kyle was probably trying to poke some intel out of me. "Why do you say that, Captain?" he asked back. "So far, our missions have been successful, and we will have the element of surprise this time as well," he continued with a hint of triumph. "You know it's bad luck to say that," I remarked back. "The mission this time will be executed in the early morning, for that is when our main fleet arrives. If that AI they have is any good, then their reaction time will be fast, and we will have a more traditional warfare on our hands, which is not ideal for rescuing civilians," I said as I stood from the table. "I will message the company once I am finished with the briefing. Head to the gym or do something useful while you have the time. I suspect the briefing will take about an hour," I said in a slightly commanding tone. "Aye, Captain," came the reply. I shook my head as I headed out of the mess hall. I went to my private quarters, which given my rank were quite spacious. I had a nice desk with an inbuilt computer in it, a comfy bed that I was not really using much since Umbra soldiers can stay awake for 4 days without getting tired, and finally some equipment in the corner. I went to the desk and typed in my password. The holographic screen lit up and I saw I had a few mails in my inbox. I clicked and saw that it was from my wife. Images from my home flashed on the screen when I clicked the folder. The teal-colored sky, the trees and grass shining in hues of blue and purple across the semi-mountainous terrain. I smiled as I felt homesick. I was just being redeployed when I heard the news from her that she was pregnant. I was overjoyed hearing that, but also felt afraid as I had a duty to my Federation. "No need to think about the negatives," I said to myself as I enjoyed going through the rest of the pictures. I lost track of time as I got a ping in my head that the briefing was going to be soon. I sighed as I turned off the computer and started to head out. "I do hope this war will end soon," I thought as I briskly walked to the meeting room. I pressed my hand to the side of the door, which it answered with a ping, and the doors slid open. The conference room was spacious, and in the center of it was a hologram table. A few captains besides me were already inside, including Captain Harold and Captain Hayes. I went and stood next to them as the remaining personnel entered. "Feeling excited for the mission ahead, Gray?" asked Harold with a giddy expression. I had never known anyone besides Kyle who has such a positive view on life in the Umbra, but I don't think I have ever seen Harold with a sad expression in my entire career with him. "I wouldn't call it excitement, but I do feel a bit nervous since the only info about the mission we have at this point is that it will be the largest coordinated use of Umbra forces in history," I said back. "And that is what makes it so exciting. I feel ecstatic that we will be there to witness it," he said with a wide grin. "Save the sweet talk for later. We must first achieve victory here," Hayes said in a gruff tone that made Harold frown. "You are such a serious man, Hayes. It would not hurt to smile once in a while, you know," Harold snapped back with peered eyes. "They make a good duo," I thought to myself as I chuckled. As small talk was getting tossed around, the doors opened and Major Cart entered the room. Everyone stood at attention as the room fell instantly silent. "At ease, men," came from his booming voice. He walked next to the table and entered a few keys on the table at the center. It came to life, and the hologram flashed to life, showing the large capital city with the golden spaceship hovering above it. The city had 5 layers stretching from the ground to the top of the canopy. It looked beautiful as it wove itself around and between the trees. All the layers had their purposes like in Tirasol, but on a grander scale. "Well then, gentlemen, I assume you are all itching to know the details of the mission ahead," said Major Cart as he got the attention of all of us. "This will be the largest single operation in Umbra history as 4 divisions, 10,000 strong each, will will assault the capital at 7:15. The Owl, Panther, and Viper divisions will be assaulting the city itself alongside the newly established Shadow Crest militia unit under Commander Starstrike. Their forces are roughly 60,000 and will be mainly used as rescue parties, but will be used as reinforcements as needed. We estimate that the civilian hostages there number close to 1.5 million, and the occupation force with the new royal retinue is around 250,000, he explained in an authoritative tone. Wow, that is a large number of troops to have under you. Do you think Zelios will be all right? Came a whisper from Harold. I'm sure he will be fine. He is a capable commander and a trustworthy companion, I whispered back. Raven Division will be tasked with entering the ship itself where the main targets are located. The Obsidian Sentinel alongside 2 Umbra battleships will enter firing range and destroy the ship's shields and fire EMP bursts at it, which should hamper it for a few moments. In that time, the entire Raven Division will assault the ship in Shadowhawk breaching transports. Every company will also be given a device that will allow AI Hugin and Munin to enter the ship's systems and target the enemy AI. These devices must be placed on secure ground as soon as an area has been cleared. There are 5 enemy targets we must capture and 2 targets we must rescue. They are the 2 royal princes, a priestess of Vorakarth, 2 high nobles of House Dracorin, and finally the planetary chancellor and prime minister of Tiri, Major Card explained as he pointed to the 7 images on the screen. The 2 royals looked like they were barely adults, wearing shiny colors like puffed-up peacocks that went surprisingly well with their yellow scales, probably wanting to see how the Empire conquered new land. The priestess's scales were white, which I assumed was because of some sort of albinism, but it seemed fitting as she was wearing red drapes with gold scattered around it. The 2 nobles looked very much like Vorakar, but their scales were in a darker hue of purple, and their crest was a navy blue color. They both wore scars of battle on their faces and seemed like very capable commanders. The 2 Illyrians had turquoise feathers with a hint of gray in them. They had the presence of a diplomat or a scholar type, less muscular than Zelios, who was a military man. Now here is the main obstacle of the mission, the Major continued. A new image popped up, showing a heavily armored Zirin with a literal shield sword and a long pistol. These are the Royal Guard, the elite of the Siren ground military. They wear a set of power armor that can withstand a few shots from our rifles unless hit in the weaker links. Thanks to that armor, their physical capabilities are enhanced significantly. We should be able to take one down in a one-on-one fight, but be vigilant because their melee weapons can quite easily kill us. Some will be riding a steed known as a Feralisk as depicted here, he finished, saying as a picture of one of them riding what I could only depict was a mixture of a crocodile and a feline. The beast was large, 3 meters at the shoulder and 5 meters from snout to tail. Its muscular, sleek body resembled a feline, with a long, sinuous tail that probably aided balance and agility. Its claws didn't look retractable, but were sharp nonetheless. The head, however, was distinctly crocodilian, with a wide, powerful jaw lined with razor-sharp teeth. Its skin was a mix of rust-colored fur and black scaly plates that seemed to provide good protection. So, we will be fighting lizard knights, sir? Harold asked with a chuckle, which made the other captains do so in kind. Indeed so, they apparently have some sort of code of honor and are religious zealots that don't shy away from doing dirty work in the name of their god, Major Cart replied. But that religious zealotry is a weakness we will be exploiting as well, he continued as a new image appeared on the hologram. It looked like the Grim Reaper, the cloak and everything, but with a white-scaled Zirin face instead of a skull and glowing white hands. It was posing like it was greeting someone. This is the god of death for the Zirin, and its name is Narakoth, and these are its minions that bring the spirits of the dead to the afterlife to rest, he continued as the hologram now showed a hooded specter with 2 glowing white hands. AI Munin believes we can use this to our advantage by adding hoods to our armor, which, when in stealth mode, looks quite convincing as harbingers of the death god, especially with the vibroblades active because the hands of these specters represent death upon touch. So we will not fail to represent here, he said finally with a huff of satisfaction. Oh, Kyle is going to love this, I thought to myself. He always wanted to add a hood to his armor for aesthetic looks, and now he actually gets it. He will probably wear a grin for the rest of his life. "Captain Gray," came the commanding voice from Major Cart. "Yes, sir," I said back as I stood at attention. "Because of your recent stellar performance in the liberated town of Tirasol, you will be temporarily given the rank of acting major for this operation. If you deem something is off or feel the need to override my orders to achieve success, you have the clearance to do so, and the rest of the 1st Battalion will answer to your command. The rest of the captains feel it fitting that you will be my second in command. Do you accept this duty?" he asked. I stood still for a good moment, my mind racing as this was a chance of a lifetime to get renown. But it also was a huge responsibility. I steeled myself as I saluted. "It would be an honor, sir," I called out in response. "Splendid. You will deal with the briefing for the rest of the 1st Battalion and be in charge of them getting their new attire attachments. Now you are all dismissed," he said as he walked out of the door. The silence in the room felt uncomfortable as every captain in the room stared at me with emotionless expressions. "Well then, congratulations, Sergeant Major Gray, on the promotion. I could not have picked a better man for the job," came a haughty voice from my side as Harold slammed his hand to my back in celebration. "Indeed, you may be the youngest of us, but I feel you have a natural insight when it comes to leading," came a compliment from Hayes. The rest of the captains chuckled, congratulated me, and gave words of encouragement. It felt awkward, but I could not ask for a better battalion to be in. We exited the briefing room and headed to the armory where our new hoods would be given to us. The rest of them jokingly made me walk in front to show my new status, which felt like some sort of hazing. We got our new clothing, which was magnetically locked to our suits. I can see why Kyle would have wanted a hood to be added to the armor. It made us look more intimidating for sure, but, and I hate to admit it, it looked very cool. An hour passed as me and the captains joked around until we got a message that the rest of the battalion was gathered in Hangar B3 for the briefing. We headed out as we all placed our hoods on. It felt like we were gangsters as the people we met gave us a wide berth when we walked past them. I saw Captain Harold smile like a schoolboy who got cool new clothes, and I must admit I felt a bit the same way. We entered the hangar and saw the entire battalion standing in lines, straight as arrows, all 1,000 of them. There was a small raised platform with a screen behind it and a podium. We all walked up it, and every captain stood in a line with their hands crossed behind their backs, and every soldier imitated it in unison. The sound sent chills down my spine as I walked up to the podium. I saw Kyle standing in front of my platoon, the horns on his head giving him away instantly. "Greetings, 1st Battalion, I am Captain Gray, who will be acting major for the mission ahead, and I will be the one briefing you," I said, trying to sound as authoritative as I could. Kyle's eyes lit up at that sentence as he looked at me like a mother looking at her graduating child. It felt embarrassing, but at the same time kind of nice. I briefed the men about the upcoming plan of attack, VIP individuals, and the new clothing they were getting, which made Kyle smile even wider. All in all, it was not much of a problem, and I quickly fell into rhythm. Questions were asked and chuckles could be heard when mentioning the Lizard Knights, but everyone was on the same page. The Obsidian Sentinel has already started to move towards the capital, and we have about 8 hours until it is in location to start firing upon the target. Get some rest, release some stress, and be ready at the designated location depicted on your COTAD at 6:10. You are dismissed, I finally commanded. They all saluted in unison and started to trickle out. Kyle met me afterward with his new hood and 2 points sticking out of the top of it. I suppose it won't fall off, even if he tried to. We went to meet the rest of my lieutenants who congratulated me on my temporary promotion, and we decided to spend some time playing games and lounge around a bit. It was good stress relief after the whole day today. It was close to 2 a.m. when I got back to my quarters. Sleep overtook me, and I had a very fulfilling sleep. My alarm woke me up at 5 a.m., and I got prepared and headed towards the designated hangar. The entire battalion was on site and getting prepped. Lieutenant Eric was designated to carry the AI device as it was the size of a large backpack. I called in the captains. "You all know the assignment, correct?" I asked with stern vigor in my voice. "Yes, sir," came the reply from all of them. "Good. I want every platoon to create a perimeter around each device. Once the AIs start their battle, we will be able to get a layout of the inside of the ship. We will move in teams of 50 and always be within supporting range of each other. Understood?" I asked. Understood, Sergeant Major, came the unanimous reply again. All right, go into your designated shuttles, and we wait for the guns to start firing, I finally said as they saluted, and we all headed to our shuttles. I entered with my platoon. The shuttles could carry 200 individuals. It was tight, but that was by design as we were going to spear into the enemy ship and drop out of a hole. We strapped in and waited for the guns to fire. Right on cue, we heard the first batteries fire. The massive guns could be heard even louder as the hangar doors opened. The Shadowhawk hummed to life, and I could feel we started to take flight. It suddenly sped as I felt my harness tighten around me. Here we go then, I said under my breath as we were on a collision course with that massive Xeron ship,